This is an emergency broadcast of the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. This is not a drill. Remove any children and pets from your home and go to your nearest shelter. Remember to at all times listen to the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. And whatever you do, do not under any circumstances trust what you see.
That's right. Welcome everybody to the Uncovering Anomalies. Wow. You want to try it?
Dude, that was so funny. That should be our intro music.
Welcome to the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. This is episode 21. That is Adam. I am Topher, and we are so happy you all are joining us today or this week, whenever you're listening to this episode. Thank you so much for listening.
That was an amazing intro. You want to give some context to it?
Not really. It's just in every time in movies where they show the Middle East someplace, it always does the same thing, and it's this. In the air, you can see like the heat coming off the sand, and there's some woman, with her face covered, staring straight into the camera. Maybe a picture of a camel eating something.
Stereotypes, man. Stereotypes, they work.
Yeah.
And I think humans, what did I read last time, that AI can't do this, that they can't generalize like we can. Like humans have this ability to just, sometimes to be seen as racist or misogynist or whatever, but we have this ability to just completely generalize about things, not just about people and culture, but just about our reality. It helps us understand the world better. And that it was some AI article I read about that they're unable to do that. That we are.
Well, they say we're higher beings, and doesn't sound like we are compared to animals then. Well, before we get digging into all the crazy stuff that we're going to talk about today, wanted to give a big shout out to Superfan Catherine for leaving us our first episode. She said, "Great recap, amazing research, and breadth of knowledge. Very likable hosts." And then in very small font, it says, "I like Topher a little bit better."
That's fine. I'll take it. I'll take the L right there.
No,
that's cool, man. It's great to have feedback.
It really is. We appreciate everyone listening, and any feedback you guys would continue to give us would be so much appreciated.
Absolutely, and we will listen to it. We do read everything we get in. So yeah, get those coming in. I do want to apologize for last week. I completely forgot the name of Linda Moulton Howe, which is completely retarded on my part. And
it happens, man.
It happens. She's huge. You know what I mean? I couldn't believe it. So I did put in the show notes last week, but I just wanted to apologize. So she is an Emmy award-winning documentarian and journalist, and her documentary in the 1980s, A Strange Harvest, did win an award. And this was about cattle mutilations in the 1970s. And I think this came out in the 1980s or something. And again, right?
Yeah, we're human. I forgot George Floyd's name like 2 or 3 weeks ago. That's terrible. It happens. You get on a microphone, all of a sudden you're so focused on the subject at hand, you kind of push everything out.
Right. And I'm naturally like that anyway. I like even taking tests. I'm a terrible test taker because of that. So I always did really well in school if it wasn't only about the exams. If it's about participation and essays and research papers and quizzes, I end up getting an A. If it's only about exams, like midterm exams or final exams, I was terrible because I would just I guess it is panicking or freaking out because I'll just blank once the test starts. And then, it's like, what the hell's going on here? I'll read the question over and over and over. So I guess that's kind of a
same thing. It's a little bit of stage fright, I think.
Stage fright, yeah. But at least, I guess, with stage fright, you can get better with practice, right? You can just do it over and over and over and over, and it goes away. I guess same thing with tests. Then you just have to do it over and over. Maybe I didn't have enough practice.
And even though we're not new to podcasting, we are new to this kind of format of doing research and having to come up with topics on the fly and keep up a discussion. So it is a little bit different this go around.
Thank you for that. For giving me an excuse.
Anytime. If there's one thing I'm good at, it's coming up with excuses.
People in high school used to always ask me like, "What should I tell my parents?" I guess I was the same thing. I always gave good excuses.
There you go.
So we did share a lot of links this week. We're gonna go through them. There's a lot of them, so we have a lot of content to go through. It's gonna be a nice mixture of politics, what's going on, and of course UFOs. So this one came out on Zero Hedge. America's empire is bankrupt. The dollar is finally being dethroned. This affects all of us, especially and even UFO and UAP research, because where these contractors get the money from to make these black budget projects and these craft, it's from the U.S. government and our system. So it sucks to be seeing this and being in the middle of all this.
Yeah, I mean, and it always comes down back onto the general public.
Yeah,
our dollar won't go as far. We won't be able to perform overseas. Companies won't be able to perform well overseas. Stuff like that. It all comes down to hurting the middle class.
Yeah, and like this author says, there's nothing new about this sort of arrangement. I mean, it happened in the British Empire, it happened in the Spanish Empire, Roman Empire. It just happens all the time. It's nothing new. We just they all get too much in debt. They get too overstretched, and then it collapses from within. So we are seeing the same thing happening here to our. I mean, it didn't have to happen this fast, and from what I've read before is that we still have probably a decade or two before it's completely finished. But I don't know. It's happening quick, man.
Well, yeah, and and it's all pushing towards that, essential currency, digital currency. I mean, I feel like that's the end goal, end game for these big banks and the elite. It's just another way to control us, and weakening the dollar is a huge step towards that.
Yeah, and exactly. Yeah, and the CBDCs is not probably. We know that's where they want this to go. This it's not like these people who are in power are just going to give it up, right? They got us here. They want a way out. They want to stay in power and stay wealthy. And the new boogeyman is climate change and whatever they want, actually, because CBDCs or the money that we will earn will come from the Fed. And that's why, I think they're allowing these small banks to be destroyed now with the bigger banks like JP Morgan. What are they, like 5 or 6 big banks?
Yeah.
Right? They'll probably destroy them too. And the only one left will be the Federal Reserve. And they're like, oh, well, we have CBDCs and this is the new deal. And if you want this money and you want to be part of this system, then these are the new rules. And this money will come with, it'll expire. If your social credit score is not good, you won't be able to use it to like drive as far as you want, or maybe climate credit, right? It won't let you like drive to San Francisco because that's too much carbon that you're using, so your money won't be as worth as it was, or just stuff like that. It'll come with these things, with control mechanisms. Money will come with control mechanisms.
That's exactly what they want. I mean, they're sick, these people in charge. I mean, they won't rest until they have control over every facet of our lives.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really depressing and terrifying,
But
and
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I don't know what the solution is really.
Yeah.
I mean, how are we supposed to fight this?
I mean, like look at Florida. I have issues now with DeSantis, but he's still the only one who does stuff like this. He put a law in Florida that if CBDCs are pushed by the federal government, it's now illegal in Florida, so they won't be able to use those. So that's what it takes. It's for states to fight back, but
that's absolutely correct. The problem is that the federal government will always, in this day and age, will override the state rights if that's how they see fit.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we do have a history with that. Looking back at the Civil War, researching it, it's not what it was, what we were told it is. And it's basically this kind of thing where the federal government's like, you guys can't secede. We're gonna hold together the union that was supposed to be voluntary, right? But it was forced together in the Civil War. So yeah, don't put it past the federal government to say, oh, too bad, you have to do this whether you like it or not.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we never really. I mean, we don't have to. I'm sure the whole country knows, especially our audience. Is Tucker? Tucker left. Well, not left. Was fired from Fox News.
Same diff.
Yeah, exactly. And there's many reasons, for it. The guy was completely anti-establishment. He brought up stuff on his show that no one else would even touch in the mainstream. I was even shocked, like why are they letting this guy? How are they letting him still on Fox News? But because it's Tucker, and he talked about everything. JFK assassination, January 6th, the Ukraine war, COVID, yeah, exactly. Anything you can think of, the guy spoke of. But what we're interested in is his UFO takes, and he had a great one on this podcast. I won't play the whole thing because it's pretty long, but let's take a listen here. And I think it just piles on to watching him just become awake, like awaken to what he was a part of, and that's what he really brings up. In general, but let's listen to his UFO opinions here and what he thinks, at his level, what he's seen and listened to.
And it was only in the past 5 years when all this evidence would emerge. And I'd be like, well, that's not true. It doesn't seem true to me. Like, I don't know what the truth is, but I can tell when someone's lying. It's my one gift. And I would see these people lying. And I'd be like, why are they lying? Like, I know they're lying, but why? And so I really came to this like at the age of 50. That's very late. It's like I never for a second thought UFOs.
What changed your attitude at 50?
The evidence.
Which is what?
Well, oh my gosh. Pentagon was required by the last defense authorization bill to like produce some of their files on UFOs. And it turns out they have known about this since the end of the Second World War, which ended in 1945. Been a huge increase during the war as well. Huge increase in UFO sightings, in UFO crashes. And it turns out the federal government has been tracking this for 80 years and lying about it. So why? Well, that's a great question. I can't answer it. Theories, but I don't know. But here's what I learned. The first question is this real? Or am I just being a crazy person who's spending too much time on the internet? Well, this summer, we got a call. We didn't reach out. This person called us. Lexi, who's standing right there, who's a genius, one of our producers, gets his call from this guy who's a tenured Stanford medical school professor. And he wants to come on the show. Now, this guy has a couple patents, and so he's rich. And he's got tenure at one of the most prestigious schools in the world. So, like, he's not a flake. He comes on and he's like, 11 years ago, the US government reached out to me because I'm an expert on head injuries, on brain injuries, traumatic brain injuries. As a physician, they had all these court cases from families of US servicemen, over 100, who'd been killed by UFOs. The Department of Defense was refusing to give them death benefits or medical benefits. And he's like, so they're in the courts. And I was like, there are over 100 servicemen killed by UFOs? Like, what? He's like, yeah. And there are court cases about it. I'm like, why isn't this on the front page of the New York Times? I don't know. But he goes, I'm involved in it. I'm one of the researchers. I'm the expert witness in these cases. Holy shit. What does that mean? And he's like, for example, UFOs appear to be attracted for whatever reason to nuclear energy. So at nuclear missile bases in the upper Midwest, for example, nuclear powered aircraft carriers, nuclear powered submarines are all getting buzzed by these objects, including underwater. And in a number of cases, these things have landed on military bases, including famously in Germany, in West Germany in the 70s. And servicemen have approached them. Like, what is this thing? There's this like giant glowing thing on the base. And they approach and they get traumatic brain injury. Like they are rendered. Like, they get brain damage or they're killed. And he studied their brains. And they have, this is all totally real. This is the Department of Defense, dude. And they've all had this damage from some kind of powerful energy that we cannot identify. So then this guy's like, wow, he's just a scientist. He never believed in UFOs. He's like, this is real. I cannot believe this is real. This is like crazy. You should do research on it. He's still at Stanford. And it turns out that actually, yes, these things have been shot down and crashed, and the US government has the wreckage, and it's being held by defense contractors, Raytheon, which are big independent companies, but that work for the US government. They're really part of the Department of Defense, but they're separate. So you can't, their sunshine laws don't apply to them. You can't actually get information from them. It's a very tricky way to hide information. And they have the wreckage from these crafts. And I'm like, really? Are we positive these aren't like advanced Russian or Chinese? No, of course not.
Is it more like the government or whatever is just this good at hiding it, or people just don't?
Wow, man.
So we talked a little bit last week about who's that private contractor that works with the government? Patel. I mean, it's the same thing. So the government contracts these private companies and works closely with them, so they can't be FOIA'd. We can't get any information from them. Exactly. It's really clever way to hide state secrets. Really scumbaggy way too, but here we are.
Yeah, and it's weird that the National Security Act was just a few months after Roswell. You know, that's no accident right there. And yes, we've tried like the Freedom of Information Act. That's helped get things out, but still, there are so many reasons for them never to ever give up. And that's just government. So you're right. Corporations, there's no law that we have in this country just because the way we're set up, and that's part of the freedom of it. There's no law that'll get the government to force a company to release information like this because it's proprietary, and the whole it's like taking advantage of capitalism, basically.
Well, it's this is what people are talking about when they say it's crony capitalism, because it's not capitalism at all. It's the government working extremely closely, basically, essentially being partners, with these companies. That's
Right.
When government and business get involved, that's when capitalism stops. That's not capitalism anymore.
Crony capitalism. Some people will say fascism, right? Because that's what it is
Yep.
when corporations are
Working
in bed. Yeah, or
Yeah.
crony capitalism. That's another way of saying it.
But fascism, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken with some people who are who say that fascism is something else. I've had arguments which I still don't understand.
Well,
Yeah.
it's just like racism and sexism. Nazism. You just throw those words out. It can mean it just whatever. Fascism right now just means whatever I don't like. That's fascism.
Right now, there was another balloon that we're tracking. I think you sent me that one.
Yeah.
But it turned out I think they called it off. So it's still a mystery. They're not saying what it is. But I bet you some private.
Well, the question is, are we on high alert? The question for me is, are these balloons? Have they been flying into the U.S. all this time, and we're just now picking up on them? Is the public just hearing about them, or is the whole balloon phenomenon a new thing?
If you remember when this first started, I forget which official said this. It might have been Kirby or the Pentagon guy, but he did mention something that they have retuned their sensors from space, so they might be seeing these things that they didn't before. So yeah, the U.S. military has been tracking it since late last week, and has determined that it poses no threat to aerial traffic or national security, and is not communicating signals. One official said, so it's just a balloon. It is not clear if it's a weather balloon or something else, the official said, adding that the U.S. could still shoot it down if it nears land. The object, which does not appear to have maneuverability, is moving slowly toward Mexico, the official said.
Well, who's releasing all these giant balloons?
I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. It's such a large planet with such a huge population, with so many companies and countries, and not everyone tells the FAA, "Hey, we're going to launch something to." They should have the freedom if it's really science and scientific, and they want to understand our environment, right? What's going on? And it's a test. Not everyone should tell the FAA, "Hey." But I guess if it's flying over the U.S. and you are a scientist, you should know it's going to eventually go there. Maybe you should.
And the last thing you want to do is knock a plane out of the sky on accident because you didn't tell anyone there was. I mean, I don't know. I've never flown a plane in my life, so I couldn't tell you how hard it would or easy it would be to avoid a giant balloon in the sky, or if it would truly do any damage to an airplane. But here we are.
Yeah, but it is strange. And of course, they're saying that it's China. Or it might be China. That's always our issue. I mean, that last one was China, and it was a big deal. But they had instruments on there. They were communicating things. They were going over U.S. bases too. It's not like they're innocent, these people, but they try to portray that. Speaking of China plans to begin building lunar base as early as this decade.
I actually, you know what? I'll share my thoughts on it. Go ahead and spill the beans.
Yeah, so China has announced bold plans for a manned lunar base tucked away in a permanently shadowed area on the moon, which local media says will begin construction as soon as this decade. In recent years, blah, blah, blah. So Chinese government has stated that a manned lunar base will be built in a permanently shadowed area of the southern polar region of the moon, an area that never receives sunlight. So it's the dark side of the moon. This makes sense considering it's here that one would have the best shot at finding water ice, that one only keeps astronauts hydrated. I mean, it's also an area where people have seen bases on the moon, apparently, right? From NASA footage and all that folklore we have out there.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, China's going there to build a base. So yeah, let me know your thoughts.
Well, just from a scientific standpoint, I really hope this ignites a new space race.
Yeah.
Because I want to see the U.S. More interested in traveling back to the moon. I know there's plans to go to Mars. I hope NASA, as much as I don't think they're the most honorable group of people, I hope they get more funding and use it properly and don't pay themselves out, because I want to see a U.S. base on the moon. I want to see U.S. Well, I want to see an Earth colonization of Mars. I want to see this leap forward into what used to be science fiction. I want to see that. And so if it starts with China creating a base on the moon, I'm all for it.
That's too much freedom there, Topher. Too much freedom.
Yeah. Well,
we need to dethrone these psychopaths. That's the only way for humans is to get out there.
Hopefully the Chinese discover oil on the moon. The U.S. will be there within a year if that's the case.
So this tweet from China, their space agency, says Chang'e's 8 lunar probe will verify technologies including lunar surface telecommunications center and lunar factory construction. The lander might be equipped with some robots, small detectors, similar to household sweeping robots, to form a network. So they want robots to build. So they want robots. There's an animation here. They want robots to build out this station, not really humans. Maybe we'll just manage them. Crazy, man. Love it. It's good on China doing this. Trying to go out there, and something we should have done in the 60s, and we probably have done in secret, to be honest.
I hope that's the case. I doubt it, just because I feel like politicians and everyone, all of the people, the powers that be, are more interested in controlling the humans here rather than expanding outward. You know what I mean? They want to lock down the Earth more than anything, it feels like.
Right, but I'm sure like the ultra rich central bankers and the breakaway civilization and those guys, they've taken this technology and gone, and it's just for them. That's the problem, is that we're just domesticated animals.
They're ready to bail as soon as things go down. Leave the rest of us to rot.
Yeah, but the cool thing, I don't know if you've read Who Built the Moon. It's one of my favorite books, many people's favorite books. It's just the way it's written, and how they scientifically looked at its place where it is and how large it is and how it doesn't rotate.
Right. So I've been watching YouTube videos on the moon and how unorthodox everything about it is. Its size, its orbit.
Yeah.
They crashed stuff into it and it rings as if it's hollow, and they can't explain stuff. They keep they've seen blue glows in craters on the moon. They've seen hints of atmosphere during certain times of the year. It's bizarre. There's a lot of weird stuff that happens up there that truthfully we haven't been able to explain.
Exactly. And its position, where it's just, what is it, 1/900th the size of the sun, and it's 1/900th the distance from the Earth to the sun. So that's why we have perfect lunar eclipses and eclipses. Yeah. Yes, exactly. So all that stuff, all they put together, like, okay, this is not a coincidence anymore. Someone built the moon, and they give 3 different scenarios of who did it.
And if you look at some of the other moons in our solar system, they're like potato shaped and stuff like that. They're rarely, perfect spheres like our moon is.
Yeah, and they're usually much smaller, right, comparative in size to the planets that they orbit around.
Yeah.
And they usually all rotate, which the moon doesn't, or at least it's locked with us.
Right. We only see one side of it.
Yeah, and I did send you I don't know if you read. There's a lot. This researcher's done a lot of. His name is Douglas Jones. He's done a lot of research on this, and we talked about the Trinity UFO case with Jack Valley's involved, right? I think that's what gave it credence, right? That's what gave it. I've read the book. It's a good book. He's a great writer. He's been out talking about this. They even included it here. Did aliens land on Earth in 1945? A defense bill seeks answers. So The Department of Defense put it in the NDAA, or the Congress. Congress is requiring the Department of Defense to review a UFO crash in 1945 near the Trinity site where we first exploded the first nuclear weapon. Anyway, this guy, and I've read a lot of these articles that he has, so we will link it for our listeners to go in and read. But yeah, it is looking like a hoax, unfortunately. The people that brought this forward are very inconsistent many times with the story. They've been on many podcasts, been interviewed many times, and just strange things, not stupid details, like big details,
The problem is this and Roswell, and the reason why it's so easy for the government to say, no, this was this or this was that, and why people can disregard it so easily is because, A, these things took place, I mean, what are
80
we, like
years.
80 years ago?
Yeah,
So you're not going to find anyone who is alive, an adult with a clear mind. Anyone who's trying to research it now, you're interviewing somebody who talked to somebody who heard it from somebody who interviewed it from somebody. You know what I mean? So it's a game of telephone, and that also, two or B, I mean, yeah, it's all the way. It's just witness testimony. That's all it is, and people are well known to be unreliable witnesses to anything, even in court. Even in court, they say eyewitness testimony is not all that accurate.
It's not, because our brains will just fill in the gap. Like even me, I can remember someone's face, right?
Mhm.
But I won't exactly remember what they wore or the color that they wore. If you ask me later on, I'm like, I'm not sure if it was black or blue or something like that. But I can,
and you make, as a human being, we make assumptions, and that clouds our memories and stuff.
And we have narratives, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, we need to fit some narrative. But apparently this has some guy behind it. The cop that they mentioned was not even a cop at the time. He wasn't a cop till years later. Stuff like that. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it is people talking about a story. So it sucks reading this. And well, it mostly sucks because it's valet, right? Like, didn't the guy he got in here and pushed this for a reason? Maybe okay. Let me step back here now. Now that we're having this discussion, maybe valet did see documents about this, and that's why he's like, "Oh, there it is. Let me push this now," because the guy was privy to so much classified information and top secret information. So maybe that's what's going on here, where he saw evidence of this anyway in the files, and then
Or he could have been given. He could have been given fake evidence.
Or fake evidence, yeah, even that.
As
He's not going to know that.
Our government does a lot.
Right. They see, and that's how they know who's leaking something. I mean, that's why they do it. They put something fake in there. So if someone on the project leaks it, they're like, okay, it was that guy who leaked it, because they'll show everyone something different.
Right. Yeah.
But still, we live in a fascinating world and a fascinating natural world. Did you see the study I sent you about the mushrooms?
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I've read similar studies like that. It's really interesting stuff. You want to sum it up?
Yeah, I want to. I mean, I've heard stuff like that, but this is the first time where it's an actual study. Because even in the movie Avatar, they speak about something like this. Not about mushrooms, but that there's a communication network between the trees, and we have something similar here on Earth. That I guess we've known this. But it is here. I'm trying to pull it up. But this has to do with mushrooms.
Basically, it's the test. If I'm remembering the study properly, they had this group of mushrooms, and they would test one. They would do an electric shock on one of them, and they were seeing that the other mushrooms were reacting to that one being shocked.
Especially raining, yeah. So the scientists have been studying the possibility of electrical signal transfer between mushrooms and across trees via the mycelial networks, they call it. It is thought that fungi generate electrical signals in response to external stimuli and use these signals to communicate with each other, coordinating growth and other behavior. It has been hypothesized that these signals can be used to help transfer nutrients to plants and trees. So now this goes into details with this, but basically, if a tree notices through this network that there's a child or a sibling or something far away, right, from its seeds, far away, it will prioritize giving nutrients to that smaller tree from underground, telling the mushroom network or this communication network about this. Fascinating, man. And
It's really cool stuff.
yes, and there's another I don't know, it just came up now, because we read a lot, and then while we discuss these issues, like I can connect dots. There's this one writer that theorized, or I think it's a movement or something, that mushrooms, that the Christian religion was created, and other religions were created with humans taking mushrooms. And now I'm trying to remember that the rains from God. These people used to feel this, that the rain came from God. The mushrooms would come up. They'd eat these mushrooms. They would trip, but then they would have these religious experience with God and his angels, and they would write these things down. I'll try and remember after the show what this guy was talking about. And there's others who said this too, that humans evolved through psychedelics and mushrooms. I've
read that. I've heard that as well. There's actually a really good science fiction book series called oh my god, I'm blanking on it. I'll remember after the show, of course.
Okay.
But basically it's humans start to colonize another planet, but it's telling the story not only from the colonizers but also from the plants, because they all communicate with each other. It's a pretty cool story.
Oh, nice. But yeah, so and even Avatar, right? Basically talk about stuff like that. So I love that. I love the natural world being so mysterious like that, and so esoteric in a way, because there are electrical signals that we're measuring, but it's probably way beyond that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, definitely. I think it's more of an energy thing. Not to get too woo woo about it, but just like collective unconscious kind of energy, communication network that we can't understand as humans. Like trying to teach a cat calculus. The cat's not going to get it, but you're still communicating.
Right.
Does that make any sense? I don't know if that makes sense.
No, well, yeah, of course. The reason why it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. It makes sense to us spiritually, if that makes sense to you. The thing is, science can't prove that, or the science that we have now, and maybe that's why we have these rules in science. Anyway,
rules are meant to be broken.
Yeah. Now this is a strange encounter from.
This is great.
From Nick Redfern, also, which you finished his book. I haven't finished it yet. But this is from 1987 that he wrote. So it's an incident in Vietnam. Yeah, this is a weird one too. So as the unit reached the clearing, they were shocked to see sitting on the jungle floor directly in front of them a highly reflective, circular-shaped machine with a diameter of around 50 feet and tripod landing gear. Indeed, so brilliantly reflective was the craft, it practically acted as a mirror. Curiously, a deep hum emanated from the futuristic device, which provoked feelings of disorientation and nausea in some of the team, but that was not at all. All around the vehicle were a number of humanoid figures that could only be described as extraterrestrial. Their heads were large and hairless, and their wraparound eyes were utterly black. It was not so much the appearance of the creatures that numbed the team to its core, though. Rather, it was what the aliens were doing, namely systematically loading a number of human body parts and naked human corpses into large metallic bins and sealing them tight. The bodies, said Stringfield's informant, were a mixture of what were considered to be Vietnamese and white and black American troops. To its credit, the U.S. team kept its composure, quietly positioned itself among the surrounding foliage for cover, and wasted no time in opening fire on the bug-eyed body snatchers. For the most part, this proved to be utterly futile, as the creatures appeared to be protected by suits that were nearly completely armor-plated. Nevertheless, one was said to have been killed by friendly fire and 3 by headshots. One of the troops reportedly lost his life, while several of the men were significantly burned by a ray type of weapon that was fired from within the UFO. With 1 death and several severe injuries, the team quickly backed away, at which point the aliens, seeing their chance, did likewise and ran for their craft. An opening appeared in its side, and the crew scrambled aboard while hauling the bins inside too. The doorway suddenly closed, and the UFO took to the skies, accelerating at an incredible speed after it had cleared the lush jungle canopy. In seconds, it was out of sight. So now it's a weird one.
So if you're going to collect human body parts, I would say Vietnam is a really good place to do that.
Yeah.
So good thinking, Mr. Alien, sir. Also, they were saying that this was possibly what Predator was based on, because they had I think it's called active camouflage. Basically, turns them slightly kind of invisible. But what's interesting and what this reminded me of, going back to Skinwalker Ranch, is several people have had encounters with creature on the ranch where it has that same kind of active camouflage. And all of this happened before the Predator movie came out. So it's interesting to see that this type of technology was in the well, I'll call it the metasphere. We knew about it before Predator came out, but people were seeing it, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, Hollywood does a really good job at that. I mean, they're really close to the military, and it seems the military just does leak things to Hollywood to get to us in a fictionalized form, But yeah, and since that was known back then, we've had technologies that has tried to replicate that with cloaks, right? Where we have these sensors that would emit what's behind. Like if you have a cloak to wear, they have these things where it emits what's behind the person, so you can just easily. It'll look weird, but you could mesh between the environment, and that's released technology.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. If you haven't seen it, that actually is something that humans have created. I don't know how viable it is quite yet, or maybe for the general public. I mean, I'm assuming the military has something along those lines already.
Even with crafts, right? They'll have these sensors that will take something that's behind the craft and then emit that same image in front of the craft. So it looks like the craft is not there.
It's doable technology, which is really freaky.
Very doable technology. Speaking about the government and weapons, I just want to quickly. I sent you this.
Yep.
So there's a report that the U.S. Bureaucracy or deep state or bureaucratic state is now arming itself to the teeth more than what the U.S. Marines has. So there's an article out there that and he lists every single agency: the IRS, Department of Energy, Department of Homeland Security, and on and on and on. Even agencies such as Amtrak and NASA have their own SWAT teams, and Social Security Administration secured 800,000 rounds of ammunition. IRS agents, AR-15. I guess the IRS agents. I mean, that makes sense if you're going after someone's property.
Right.
Especially someone who's a criminal. But a lot of these don't make sense, and they're telling us that we don't need guns and that guns are bad, and then here they are arming themselves to the teeth.
Yeah, it is. It's the most. That's why I hate gun control advocates so much. It's because they're the same people that tell you how bad cops are, but they're the only people that also should have guns. And it's just like, you idiots! How do you not see you're being played so hard?
Exactly, it is being played like someone like all these congressmen and congresswomen who sit there and are so anti-gun
and they're surrounded by security with guns.
So ridiculous. And like Biden, he's the president of the United States. He has like a fleet, not just like security guards. We're talking about it because I saw this stuff in Iraq of just like Brenner when he was involved, what they had going on. Imagine the president of the United States. You're talking about just probably swarms and layers of it ahead of him, right?
Well, and I'll never forget his thing. Was a year or two ago where he was saying, well, I know U.S. citizens have the right to carry guns, but you're not going to overthrow the government because we've got, F-22s and stuff. Just like, and so you're threatening us. Like, get a gun, people, get a gun, because we don't want to be caught with your pants down when the government comes to your door knocking because you criticize the CCP. I mean, Jesus Christ.
It's so crazy. And that's why our founders knew exactly how humans, because they looked at the past. They were smart. They were students of the past and students of history. They knew how humanity just goes through these stages, and they wanted to protect us as much as possible from tyranny, and it hurts so hard to see just Americans on the left. I mean, just
willingly want to give up those freedoms. They don't understand that the first of the slaughter. They really don't.
No, they don't. And all people are trying to do is just protect their homes. That's what they're trying to do.
Yep.
Here's an oldie but a goodie. You know, I like when these come up. There was, and Richard Dolan uses this too as proof of this document from Canada. There was this guy named Wilbur Smith, a Canadian engineer, very well respected in Canada. It's in the 1950s, right? He got wind of this and got interested. But he wrote a memo, is a Canadian memo, that the U.S. government is studying UFOs and it is real. And it is extraterrestrial of origin, a lot of it, and that it is classified higher than the hydrogen bomb. This is the 1950s. He said 2 places higher than a hydrogen bomb. Imagine, the hydrogen bomb was extremely secret. And apparently he got this information from a guy named Starbucker, Robert Starbucker. He was a U.S. scientist and a student of Einstein. So in the 1980s, Dr. Starbucker confirmed several facts about UFOs and ET to researchers William Steinman and Stan Friedman. He said that he had been officially told about the crash of an extraterrestrial craft in the Southwest in the early 1950s. This crash may have been Roswell UFO crash, or it may have happened at a different time. He confirmed to them, as well as to Wilbur Smith, and that's why these guys contacted him, because they got the Wilbur Smith memo and they found out a Starbucker. So they contacted Starbucker that the issue was classified as more important than the development of the atom bomb. According to him, the debris was both incredibly light and highly durable. He understood that the aliens were lightweight and constructed somewhat like insects. He stated that a limited group of individuals, including von Braun, Vannevar Bush, Oppenheimer, and Eric Walker, were likely involved in the crash debris analysis. They were unsuccessful in their attempt to reverse engineer the technology. Yeah, I love hearing this stuff come out, and hopefully this stuff is never buried because it's just part of the story.
Yeah. It feels like it was so much more, open and not so secret back then. And I hate that it got so buried and ostracized. I mean, now it's slowly starting to come back, but they did irreparable damage to people who are trying to study, this phenomena.
Yeah, and officially now, so they had Vannevar Bush in there. Vannevar Bush was the head of the scientific department of the White House. He was in universities. He's very involved in this, right? He's nothing to do with the Bush family, by the way. But even the MJ-12 documents, he's in there. So he was called once by one of these UFO researchers back in the 90s that was trying to write a book. And, it's back in the day. Again, it was still freer, right, in the 90s. This is before Patriot Act and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And he would say, he's like, we don't have to tell you guys anything. You guys don't deserve to know, or something like that. That was his attitude, like a very elitist attitude, is that we have no reason to tell humanity about this, kind of thing. We don't owe you anything, is what was said. So, I mean, that
just goes to show what the government thinks of us. And that's how we're treated with everything nowadays. But
it is unfortunate, and they've realized it too in a way. And they've dumbed down most of the population. We were not this dumb, Most people were very intelligent and read a lot and were innovators and they created their own thing, especially Americans. A lot of us, that spirit's still here, but it's dying. It's going away.
What's stomped out of us?
Stomped out of us. Yeah, exactly. The psyops is just.
Yeah.
I don't know if you sent me this or I saw this. This is crazy.
You sent me this. This is really cool footage.
Yeah, so it's a cylindrical UFO.
Yeah, so
I don't know if it's on purpose. Yeah, go ahead.
For those of you listening, I highly recommend to go check out this footage in the show notes. Adam will post it. It's really cool. It is a cigar-shaped UFO, and it shows how it maneuvers through the sky. It's shockingly clear footage. It's really, really cool.
It is.
Do you happen to know?
Oh, I love seeing that.
Do you happen to know? Do you remember where this was taken? Was it Poland?
No, I don't.
I think it said in the. I think it said.
So amazing footage of cylindrical UFO filmed by drone in Hungary. So Banka, one of the few videos you can actually see how these things move. This was in June 29th, 2020. And they have a zoom of it, but it's going through the clouds, and it's just, you can tell it's cylindrical because it reflects the sunlight.
Yeah. And It's way it turns so
erratic.
Pinpoint turn. It's very cool.
Going through the clouds like that, you can see it. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just phenomenal. And there's a trajectory.
Really cool footage.
And those are the ones that I love seeing.
Yeah.
You know, by accidents.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this person was just filming like I'm assuming the village in Hungary.
Yeah.
You know, it's got, you can see the mountain and the clouds in the background, and somehow someone caught, you know, whatever this is, flying through the clouds. It's very, very cool footage. But yeah, it looks like a silver cigar, and it just kind of snakes and weaves its way through the clouds. It's very, very, very cool footage.
And you know, we know for sure that the cigar ones are alien. You know, the saucer ones can be either or. I don't think we've been able to do the cigar ones yet. Those are always the strange ones. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah.
There was also the cube-like structure.
Yeah, we've talked about the diamond slash, you know, cube shapes that have been seen a lot over Medellin. This was seen from orbit, I believe.
Yeah, I think from the ISS.
But it's that same kind of shape, but it is. I can't tell if it's truly changing shape or it's just changing its angle to the camera, so it looks like it's changing shape. It's just,
there it is. Look at it.
Yeah, no, I see it. It looks kind of like a dumbbell. If you had square weights. Right.
Exactly.
But depending on the angle you're looking at it, it would either look like a cube or a diamond. So it also is really cool footage. Yeah, you said it was from the ISS.
Yeah, from the ISS.
Yeah,
and there it is, and it's reflecting. I mean, it could be junk, but what kind of junk is that? I mean, maybe it's containers or something. You know,
I don't know.
These guys don't really leave too much context when someone's asking here. Anyone know what this is? You know, of course you have the.
Well, the problem is it's all going to be speculation. Nobody can say exactly what that is.
Yeah, exactly. But I love seeing the ISS photos. I remember when I was first waking up to this subject, and I was always going back and forth. Yeah, I was always going back and forth. But then this guy came out. He was a satellite operator in Canada, and he had a link that was not public, a NASA link, right? But it was through satellites that they were communicating. And he was a satellite operator, but he recorded hundreds of hours of NASA footage that was not public. But then he released DVDs on this, and that's what definitely convinced me that this is extraterrestrial. Because I was like, oh, okay, it could be humans. You know, I was reading all these books, and I was just going back and forth. But to me, what solidified it was this footage, this NASA footage that was not released, that this guy got. And I still have those. I downloaded his entire YouTube channel before he gets scrubbed, you know.
Mm-hmm.
A while ago. Yeah, just seeing that stuff was crazy. You sent me one that is, you know, could be a drone, maybe not. That was over a U.S. city. And I got in there to the chats because people were like, oh, it's a drone. But, you know, drones have to have FAA lights, especially at those times.
Yeah, it doesn't. And man, I don't. It's cool for. I guess it could be a drone. I guess I'm really sick of everything in the sky as a drone, because this footage really, it doesn't make any. The way it's blinking. I don't know. I guess it could be a drone. It's just, you know, it's your typical UFO shape. It wobbles like
it's wobbling. Yeah,
it wobbles like a UFO does.
Right.
You know, it's not a solid blink. It's intermittent blinking. You know, I don't know. It's cool footage. It's over a city. I can't remember. I want to say Chicago, but yeah, I don't know. Regardless, it's cool footage.
It is cool footage.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need that music on there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got in there too, and I was like, you know, drones usually have these FAA lights. You know, they're not really allowed up there.
Yeah. I also sent you another link earlier. You were talking earlier about the documentarian who made the documentary about cow mutilations, and last week we were talking about the cow mutilations. Was it in Arkansas? And I had mentioned there were some in Texas, and I sent you the link to the cow mutilations that were happening in Texas. Same thing. You know, animals weren't getting anywhere close to it. There was no blood found. You know, the insides, some of the sexual organs had been removed, stuff like that. You know, it's just, you know, who knows what the agenda is there.
Who knows? because it's not like we don't. I mean, if we are that advanced, we do have a breakaway civilization. They have the technology to do that, and
Yeah.
who knows what it's for? If it's real, if it's a psyop, if it's just weird that's happening now at this time again, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was Christopher Mellon did a thing on his blog. Did you see that one? About 1957 NORAD thing.
Yes. Yeah, actually, I did want to talk about that. So yeah, why don't we get into that one?
So this one, he said that he did grab it from some other website. Although I don't see any issues with the formatting, but it's basically a NORAD UFO flap that happened.
Now, what I was going to ask this is the same thing where all those UFOs appeared above the White House, right? Isn't that what this is about?
I don't know if it's the exact same one.
It was right during that time, though.
Was that in 1955? Yeah, it was that. It definitely was around that time. Yes, but I'm not sure if it was in 1957 when this happened, because this is okay. Eisenhower. This is also during the Eisenhower administration. Yeah, was he buzzed? Was it Eisenhower in 1955?
I'm fairly certain it was him. Yes.
All right, here it is. So it's a long one because what happened was they got all the actual radio, information from each tower. How fast
they were tracking these. They were tracking these things from Canada, if I remember correctly.
But NORAD, yeah.
Yeah, they tracked them over a long distance. They were, and they were varying between heights way too quickly and speed way too fast. Something way beyond our technology at the time, probably even now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So,
I'll read the intro. I mean, on September 20th, 1957, a U.S. National Air Defense Alert was called shortly after 3:05 p.m. Over the next half hour, U.S. radars tracked 2 or 3 high-speed hypersonic objects crossing 2 states, and Canada. The UFOs were radar tracked, moving at varying speeds from about 800 to about 19,000 miles per hour, and at varying altitudes from 50,000 to 135,000 plus foot altitude, which feats still cannot be duplicated today. The first UFO initially seemed headed straight towards the summer White House of then President Eisenhower.
Mm-hmm.
The second UFO headed straight towards Strategic Air Command headquarters in Omaha, Nebraska, in what was perceived as a threat trajectory, potentially aiming for a nuclear knockout kill against the command and control center of the entire U.S. nuclear force. Another UFO joined it on a similar trajectory, about 150 miles behind the first. SAC went on high alert, apparently launching nuclear bombers toward Russia until the alert was called off when the last UFO disappeared before reaching SAC. So NORAD triggered a White House alert with high-level meetings convened of the CIA, U.S. Air Force Intelligence, IAC Watch Committee, and the IAC Executive Session, which is the Intelligence Advisory Committee. The director of the CIA Office of Scientific Intelligence, Dr. Herbert Scoville Jr., suggested that the UFO might have been a maneuverable Soviet cruise missile, but no such missile was in the Soviet inventory, as we now know, of course.
Yeah. Jeez.
This reminds me of that one interview I shared with you that was on Dolan. I have the book where we shot down, that monster UFO that its hand melted through the metal when it got caught in New York. So this was very similar, where we saw the trajectory coming. It was going to a U.S. base. We shot it down. These we didn't shoot down, though. So what happened? What I'm talking about now happened after this. So this is like a war. There's always been a war between our government, because of nuclear technology, and these others that are interested in keeping these weapons out of our hands, or at least out of the psychopaths' hands that run our government.
Right.
And it's a great report. It goes through the trajectory, and if you want to nerd out, you can on this, because it goes through every single base station, which is a radar station, tracking these objects one by one, how fast they're going, what their trajectory was, how high up they were, and it debunks the fact that these were what do they call them, radio anomalies or something like that.
Right.
And it's not, because these UFOs transmitted code on different frequencies. So if it was an anomaly, it would show up on the other base station, other radio station, with at the same frequency, but it didn't. Each radio station was watching on a different radio frequency. So because it was caught on different radio frequencies, these were real objects that were being
tracked.
Yeah,
it's cool stuff. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Me too, man. Me too.
Anytime there's hard proof like that, it's a huge plus for the community.
And it just shows like how this activity and this secret is just so part of this country and this empire.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's really in there. So them to be saying, "Oh, we have no evidence," it's just so annoying. It drives me bananas.
Well, they say that just so they say it so they can, right? That way people who are skeptics can go, well, the government, says they're not real, completely ignoring all the other proof that the government has given us that they are real.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's a schizophrenic thing, and it drives everyone absolutely bonkers. Or it gives information for us, like, oh, see, they have admitted, and then it gives confirmation to others who say, oh, look, see, they denied it.
Yeah, I know. It's the perfect plan for the government. I hate the government so much, but goddamn, are they good at sowing discord and causing confusion?
They're geniuses, man. Tom DeLonge. You see, this was a great story.
Yeah, go ahead and play. It's a good clip. Yeah. I was frustrated at that. Go ahead.
Okay, he's on the Steve-O podcast.
It's nature, so we got to kind of confront it regardless. But it's very real. It's insanely bigger than you think it is. It's not just a few things in the sky. It's very, very big. I got brought over to Italy. Some dudes with Italian intelligence in Vatican and UN. They were all there. Went to military base, had these briefings, and they showed me a map of the Mediterranean. And what was happening is on the coast of Sicily, all these like apartments were like catching on fire, like a microwave, boom, some books, boom, like the fucking couch, boom. And so the government came in and they're like, what the fuck is going on here? So they quarantine the area, get everyone to leave. And they're going, why are things catching on fire? They detected these energy beams, energy weapons or something that were coming off of like way out in the ocean in the Mediterranean. So this dude gets he was a colonel at the time, and he was in charge. What they looked out and saw were UFOs were out in the ocean fucking around. So the head of the UFO program and the head of the Italian Navy SEALs get on an unmarked civilian helicopter and just fly out to go see what's going on out there. As they're flying, a UFO pops out of the ocean and shoots their fucking helicopter down. I have the documents on the Italian intelligence letterhead. I talked to the two dudes I was in the meeting with that were on the fucking helicopter. I have pictures of the helicopter being chased by the UFO and all the damage that was done to it with some type of microwave weapon or something. And what they found out was that there were airplanes and other helicopters kind of in the area, but the UFO knew that those dudes were looking for him. It's like they can read their minds. It's like we have drones that fly around and listen to people's like cell phones and shit. They do it with thought. Mm-hmm. Imagine in advance. Sure. We don't need to listen to their phone. I'll just fucking point my dish at Steve-O and I can hear he's thinking of some weird shit. Right. Shoot him down. So it's just absolutely wild. So the map they showed me of the Mediterranean, they go, these are all the hot spots of what's happening with UFOs just recently. And there was hundreds of marks, all over the ocean. There are just things happening everywhere.
Oh man!
Oh, Tom DeLonge, you're so.
I know. Did you read his books? He's got. I mean, they're not bad.
I have not read any of his stuff. So is he saying that he has the footage or the pictures, or he's saying the guy he talked to has the pictures?
The guy he talked to. No, wait. He said he saw them.
That's what I was trying to figure out, because he's so good at doing that, where he goes, oh, we have all this stuff, but nothing, but I know he was a big part of getting the Tic Tac video released, but other than that, he hasn't shown us any of the quote unquote proof that he's seen, or maybe he has. I haven't.
Maybe he's not allowed to, or that maybe that's why he has those sources.
Yeah,
but I think he said he's the one who has it. Here,
right.
That's not that far of a. Somebody clip.
Intelligence letterhead. I talked to the two dudes I was in the meeting with that were on the fucking helicopter. I have pictures of the helicopter being chased by a UFO.
I have pictures.
Yeah, so he's got it right.
It was done to it with some type of microwave weapon.
So what does he show us?
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's why I was so I was like, just show us the stuff. You can tell us all the stories you want, but if you don't follow up with pictures, no one's going to give a shit.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. Maybe
but that kind of stuff plagues the UFO industry. I mean, Luis Elizondo is the same thing. He says he's seen all this stuff. He has all this stuff. I can't show you until you buy our book or whatever his thing that he's doing is. I mean, that kind of stuff bugs me to no end. You know, show us what you've got.
Yeah,
don't tell us what you got. That's nothing. I can do that. I can tell you Sasquatch is my roommate. You know, if I don't show you anything, that it means nothing.
Yeah, he's got some crazy stories. I guess he went and just met with all these people while he was writing his book. So I'm trying to think, like, why would he meet with these people anyway? Or maybe when it was
him? Why would they meet with him is the bigger question. I don't know. Maybe if you're like that rich and famous, you kind of have that pull.
Yeah, and people are always asking too, is it because of to the Stars Academy? You know, he did get funding. He did have on his board like many generals.
Yeah.
You know. Now here's one about Arrow. Unfortunately. The whistleblowers are going around Arrow and going straight to the Congresswoman. Gillibrand, is that her name?
Yeah. Fitzpatrick is the one that they're going around from Arrow.
Fitzpatrick, yeah, and they're going right into, and it's because they don't trust him. And here's the author, investigative journalist Ross Coulthart. He's saying that this is happening. He's close to this because he's with Bryce Zabel. He's close to Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp, who are the ones who are lobbying to get this stuff out of the U.S. government. And got them protection, whistleblower protection. They set up Arrow. They got it funded, but still, it's being corrupted as usual.
But I mean, my fear is it's amazing. And what we see right now is DOD doing everything they can to make that a complicated process. They're still not making the public website, the public-facing website available. They haven't approved it yet. So what's neat about it, though, Senator Gillibrand is now directing people directly to her office. So she just said recently that people can call her directly. So that's good, but the DOD needs to play ball. Otherwise, we're just...
that guy's a newbie.
There is a story behind that I can tell you.
Sure.
I know there are whistleblower witnesses who have gone directly to the Congress and circumvented Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick's office because they don't trust Dr. Kirkpatrick. Because what he's done by saying what he said publicly to the Congress is apprehended bias. He's indicated an unwillingness to take the issue seriously. I think he should really be questioning whether he should stay on the job or not. The bottom line is there are a lot of senators and congressional representatives who have heard differently inside secure skiffs in the Congress from what Dr. Kirkpatrick is representing to the Congress in public hearing. Congress has heard evidence from witnesses about the program, about aliens.
Yeah. No,
it's happening. Sean, it's happening.
It's happening. It's happening. It's going to come out. It's going to come out. Trust the plan.
Well, I think really what I took from that is it just goes to show Kirkpatrick, his job is to lie, right?
Yep. Yep.
So, which is such a, God, we really have no power as the American public. It sucks, man. How are we supposed to research and gain an understanding of our universe when the whole job of the government is to lie to us about what's real and what's not? I mean, that kind of stuff bugs me to just no end. You know what I mean?
Like someone like you and I don't really need the government, and many don't really need the government to say, all right, this is what it is. But we do, but society does, civilization does, the system does. That's the problem. You and I can have these, but nothing's going to change if the U.S. government officially doesn't acknowledge this. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And the problem I see it is the system is a problem, and it needs to change. It can't just stay like this. It's unsustainable, as we can see. It's bankrupted us. It's corrupted, the government to the core. Because once you have something like this being so suppressed and so secret and giving people so much power and wealth, then everything else is game. That's what I believe. If someone else is doing it, why not I do it for this reason? For whatever, to go conquer the Middle East, and we just do 9/11, or to do a great reset. Let's do COVID. Stuff like that. So it just breeds more of that if people don't hold government accountable.
Yeah, and we have a serious problem with that here in the United States right now, is we're not holding our elected officials accountable as we should. They openly lie to our faces. We talked about Trudeau last week, for instance, saying he never forced anyone to get a shot, and he's gonna get away with saying that, even though it's a bald-faced lie that can be proven time and time again that it's just absolutely not true. So it's frustrating.
It is frustrating. And it's like these people have immunity. And another one that did the same thing was the head of the teacher association. She was for lockdowns and did not want to open up schools. Now she went to Congress with this act that she was always for opening up schools. Like, these people forget there's cameras on them and mics on them, and that the internet does not forget.
I think and I think they assume that people have a short attention span, which unfortunately we do. We've been brainwashed that way.
I mean, that's the old paradigm, right? Yes, that's how they ruled this empire before, and that's how they had the media. We do have a 2-week span, our memory. It does. That's true. But they're still running this empire on that basis. Like, it doesn't work like that anymore.
Yeah.
We have all these tools to remember way more than 2 weeks.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is people don't. I mean, how many people are still talking? How many people are still talking about that? How many people, once they came out, for instance, when they came out and said, when they first created the vaccine for COVID, they said, okay, this is 100% efficacy rate. You won't catch the virus. You can't spread it. All this stuff. They said that. And then they were saying, we never said that. And people were like, even now you go on the internet and talk to these people and they're like, well, most vaccines, they're not supposed to get rid of the virus. Like, what are you talking about? Yes, they do.
Yeah,
people like you and me, we don't forget, and we have the internet, but most people, they don't care.
Yeah, they don't care. They don't know that they actually literally changed what a vaccine is.
Right.
It went from something that gives you immunity to something that matched the vaccine they were trying to give us.
Exactly.
Insane. I wish. Well, hopefully this show then does that job for people. But then you'll listen to each episode and you'll forget.
Right.
I won't. Here's a great dash cam video from truckers. It was on 2 trucks or so, something of a UFO that went over. Did you see this one?
I did. I'm a little bit torn on this one, but actually, you know what? No. So go ahead. Do you want to describe it, or I can describe it?
Yeah, go ahead.
So basically, it's dash cam footage of a truck driver at night, and you see a pretty cool array of triangular lights fly pretty close overhead. Maybe, I think in the comments I saw someone had estimated maybe 200, 300 feet up. It's pretty close. So I was reading the comments, because this was posted on Reddit, and I was reading the comments, and everyone was saying, first of all, the footage is from like 2021 or 2018 or something. It's from a while ago, and it's been debunked as a crop duster, which makes no sense to me because it's obviously at night. Oh, and the original footage doesn't have that grain over it. So whoever re-uploaded this changed the date and added a film grain to it. So that obviously gets rid of a lot of credibility. But it's flying really low at night, which I don't know. Do crop dusters? Do they crop dust at night?
No,
I don't think they do. That doesn't make any sense.
Where's the FAA lights then? How come it's not blinking like a plane?
I have no idea. It is like, and it.
But I didn't know that. I didn't know that they put the grain and all that bull crap. I mean,
yeah.
Why?
So are you? Yeah, you're on. Scroll down, and if you look at some of those comments, you can see what I'm talking about.
All right. So I'm not saying it's a plane, but it moves like one. Where is it? Have you ever asked yourself? No.
Scroll down to the next top, what does that say?
I'm pretty sure it's crop dusting.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
It's a thing, and it looks like this, but it's not. Again, where's the FAA lights?
And why are you flying a crop duster in the dead of night?
Right. I crop dust during the day in elevators.
anyway, and someone in those comments had found the original footage and saw that it wasn't original. I think that comment
Here
right
it is.
there. Yeah,
Reposting his own shit from 2 years ago, but putting some kind of grainy filter over it. Here's a 10-minute video he promised. He also posted this 2 years ago, but it's not from last night, and it's not from 2021. The timestamp says 2013.
Oh, okay, there we go.
He does crap like this to get upvoted. All right, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
Still,
it's cool footage, but yeah, I don't think it's anything real. But
you did share a lightning UFO one.
I don't think it's a crop duster.
I don't think it's a crop duster either. 20 even making it in 2013 is even cooler because then it's not a drone, or not.
Yeah.
At least what we know, but it looks pretty big.
Yeah.
Also, you did send me, and this has happened before, by the way. So you sent me one that is a UFO that shows up, but then an electric arc happens between the UFO and some power station.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that happen before. This is not the first time.
Okay.
Where is that? Where is it? UFO lightning. Here it is. There they show up on top. Boom! And it took out the entire thing. They're still there, though. They're still there. We still see them. Whoa! Let's see that again.
It's really cool footage, whatever it is.
They show up. Oh my god! There's some electrical discharge happened between the craft and the power station. It knocked out the electricity. You have cars going off in the background.
It leaves that what's really interesting to me is that red glow that just shoots straight up. Because like an explosion, light doesn't go in a line. It goes, it spreads out, right? And so the fact that it like is a straight line up is pretty interesting to me.
That was really cool, man. I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
Last and not least, James Fox did share this. Yesterday we spoke about the episode he was on, that he spoke about that they found footage, right, of these guys from California went out to Area 51, and he saw this image of a craft glowing. Now he shared this image. He saw a video of the craft glowing, right? And this image he's sharing, he's saying the footage Chuck Clark showed me circa 1995 was something like this, but further back, and it was video. At Logan Paul, was this at all what you saw? I know the VHS tape has significantly deteriorated since I saw it. So here's that image. This guy is a tree there or some kind of leaf.
Well, that's
but
pretty
it's
cool.
Yeah, right. I've seen one like this before, where it looks alive,
Yeah, well, and that's really common amongst people who see UFOs, where it does have that kind of it almost looks like it's alive, or it's got
jellyfish.
It's got some like just strange moving glow about it. Like it people have described them as looking like lava lamps at different times, stuff like that.
Yeah, weird. So I don't know where this image is from, but he's saying it's just like that UFO that they saw in that video.
Right. Yeah, the video we played last week. I remember now.
Really cool stuff, man.
Or we talked about it, I think.
Oh yeah, we talked about it last week. We might have linked it too. So yeah, a lot of stuff to get to this week.
Yeah, there was a lot that happened, a lot to talk about. And
what are we doing next week?
Next week is a big deal. We scoped out last night. We scoped out our CE5 location where we're going to be chilling next Saturday night. And we're gonna bring flashlights and cameras and do some praying, some meditating, and try and welcome some visitors to come see us.
Yeah, and we're playing it by the book. We just like we are not just talking the talk, we're walking the walk, and we want to communicate directly with these beings, and we don't need to officially go through the U.S. government, who obviously never wants to tell us anything and will never. So It's up to us, the people, if we're really interested in this, and and we want to see if it's real, do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Greer's doing it, right?
He is.
And all the time.
I'm really looking forward to it. We got a bunch of sideways glances from everyone we told we were going to do that, but
But all in all, we still, I mean, there's support there, right? I mean, I don't, yeah. It wasn't like, oh, come on, what's wrong with you guys? Like they're just letting us do it.
Yeah, no one made fun of us. You know, it was just kind of like, okay, you guys do what you're gonna do.
Yeah, exactly. They know who we are, what we're about. So it's cool that we have that. So that should be an interesting. So we'll go record out there, and then on the next day after, next week, we'll discuss what happened, and hopefully there'll be clips we can show, or maybe even audio clips.
Yeah,
that we can share.
So you also said our guest was going to be next week too.
Wait,
we're going to bump that.
Okay, so wait a minute. So we'll have the guests, and at least we'll have a week to digest what happened on Saturday, and we can discuss it on the next Sunday one.
Okay.
Right. So we'll do that.
Okay, that sounds good. That gives me time to edit and cut stuff together too.
Right. Perfect. Yeah. So that's what we'll do. So okay. So next week we will have a guest on the show. She's a family member. So with an interest also on this subject, and we'll find out. We'll ask her. What got her interested, what her opinions are. She has read so many books about this subject over the past decade, so she's very knowledgeable. Should be
that's awesome, man.
Interview. Yeah,
be so good to hear someone else who shares an interest. What their thoughts are.
Agreed. It's always nice. All right, so I mean, follow us on Twitter, everyone. We're at UAP the podcast. Topher is at Topher it all.
Topher it all.
Yeah, and we're on all platforms now. You can find us everywhere. So there's no excuse not to listen to us. We're not only on Spotify, but we're on Apple, we're on Google, we're on all the other big ones and small ones.
We want to thank you all so much for listening. Again, another shout out to Catherine for leaving us that great review. Feel free to leave us review, guys. We'd love to hear your thoughts and how we can improve. We're open to changing the format and doing things differently if that's what people want to hear.
Right, exactly. And we will do deep dives every once in a while. So we are coming up with a new one soon.
Yes. Yeah, I sent you an idea for a deep dive that I really want to do.
Those are always good, just to change it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right,
okay. I think that's it for me. Cuz, you good?
Yes, I'm good. It's the end of episode 21. We're on our way to many episodes. We're in the 20s now.
All right. It's going by really fast. I can't believe we're already at 21.
I know, right?
Thank you all so much for listening to the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. As always, that is Adam. I am Topher, and we will see you all next week.